So it all kicks off on this one restless night, right in the heart of the ancient Persian Empire. You've got the most powerful man in the world, a king who just cannot sleep. And his insomnia, well, it's about to set off one of the most wild political turnarounds in history.
It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer turns this ancient story into a nail-biting political thriller. So forget everything you think you know. We're about to see how a single sleepless night can completely tear apart a conspiracy and absolutely seal one man's fate.
So King Ahasuerus is wide awake. He's bothered by this strange request his queen, Esther, just made. He's looking for some clarity, so he calls for the royal records. But, and this is a huge but, he makes a critical choice. He doesn't ask for the official state chronicles, the ones that could have been messed with by his top advisor, Haman. Nope. He calls for his personal diary. He wants the real story, unfiltered.
As they're reading the entries out loud, one of them just leaps off the page. He's suddenly reminded of this guy, Mordechai, who had literally saved his life by exposing an assassination plot. The king had totally forgotten about it, probably just assumed his inner circle, especially Haman, had been the ones to shut it down. And the king is just floored. A man saved his life, and what did he get for it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He asks his servants, hey, what reward or promotion did Mordecai get for this? And their answer is just shockingly casual. They basically say, nothing was done. This oversight, this injustice, it's the spark that's about to light the fuse for the whole night.
And get this. Just as the king is stewing over this massive injustice, he hears a noise. Somebody's in the outer court, in the middle of the night. The timing is just, you can't make this stuff up. He asks, who is in the courtyard?
The visitor? It's Haman. And this right here is the absolute peak of the night's drama. Inside, the king is trying to figure out how to reward Mordecai. Outside, Haman has just built a 75-foot gallows and has shown up to ask the king's permission to hang, you guessed it, Mordecai. 2 men, 1 courtyard, and 2 agendas on a collision course. It's perfect.
So Haman is brought in. The king sees his most trusted advisor, and you can just see the gears turning. He comes up with a plan to use Haman's own massive ego against him, and he asks this very, very carefully worded question. Now, pay close attention to the wording here. The king asks about a lavish reward, but he's super careful to leave out the word promote. Why? Because he knows Haman is obsessed with power and status. By leaving that word out, he guarantees Haman will think this is all about public honor. And that, of course, it can only be about one person.
And just like clockwork, Haman swallows the bait. Hook, line, and sinker. In his mind, there is no one else. Not a single soul the king could possibly want to honor this much. This one thought, this fatal moment of pure pride, is the hinge that his entire world is about to swing on. He is walking straight into a trap he designed himself.
So Haman, just completely drunk on his own ego, starts designing the most over-the-top, ridiculously grand ceremony of public honor you can possibly imagine. He's not just thinking about a reward, he is scripting a fantasy where he is basically a carbon copy of the king himself. Okay, let's just break this down. Not just any royal robes, the robes the king himself wore. Not just any horse, the king's personal horse from his own coronation. And who's gonna lead this whole parade? One of the highest-ranking officials in the land. He is literally designing his own coronation, and in doing so, he's about to hand the king the script for his own public humiliation.
The king is listening to all of this, and he's getting seriously concerned. He sees Haman's little fantasy for what it is. A dangerous ambition that's starting to blur the line between a subject and the king. And in that moment, he makes his decision. Haman needs to be put in his place, and the loyal guy, Mordecai, needs to be lifted up. The floor is about to drop right out from under Haman's feet.
The king's response is immediate. It's sharp. Hurry, he says. No time to think, no room for questions. Take the robes and the horse, just like you said. You can just imagine Haman's heart pounding, his ego just soaring for about 1 more second.
And then, boom, the hammer falls. The king says, and do all this for Mordecai the Jew. The whiplash must have been unbelievable. In a single sentence, Haman's greatest dream is warped into his absolute worst nightmare. He isn't just going to watch his enemy be honored, he has to be the master of ceremonies for the whole dang thing.
And just to twist the knife a little deeper,
The king adds this final command. Every single solitary detail of Haman's egomaniacal fantasy has to be carried out. Not for him, but for his most hated enemy. And Haman himself has to do every last part of it. The trap is sprung.
And so he does it. He finds the robes, he gets the king's horse, he dresses Mordechai, his mortal enemy, in the king's clothes. And then, the second most powerful man in the entire empire leads that horse through the city square, shouting for everyone to hear how much the king honors this man. It's a public spectacle of total, crushing humiliation.
So after this whole parade, Mordecai just calmly goes back to his post at the royal gate. But Haman, he sprints home, completely broken, head covered in shame, just an absolute wreck. He runs to his wife, Zeresh, and his friends and tells them what happened. He's looking for comfort, right? He wants someone to tell him it was just a bit of bad luck, a minor setback. But that is not what he gets.
His own wife hits him with this absolutely bone-chilling prophecy. And listen to her words. You have fallen by your own initiative and doing. She sees it crystal clear. This wasn't bad luck. He did this to himself. And she tells him, if Mordecai is Jewish, this is only the beginning. You're not just going to fail, you are going to plummet. No sympathy at all. Just a cold, hard dose of reality. And while those terrifying words are still hanging in the air, there's a knock at the door. It's the king's valets. They're here for Haman. You see, his night is far from over. They rush him away. He can't be late. But where are they taking him? To the second banquet with the king and queen Esther. The very banquet where he saw all his grand plans were going to come together. He started his day with a plot to murder a man, and is ending it by being dragged to a feast, utterly defeated. What could possibly happen next?